Primers are the first step that you can use. Obviously, we cleaned your skin, so we did the cleanser, toner, moisturizer, so she's got a clean canvas, and that's really important when you're doing makeup. You have to start with clean skin, exfoliated skin. If you have dry areas, as you put makeup on, those are just going to be enhanced. Or if you have an acne breakout that's kind of dry, you want to have all that dead skin off so you have a good canvas to work with. We have a number of primers that you can use. We have the clear primer. So if someone just has trouble with makeup settling into pores and fine lines, this is kind of like spackle for the face. Fills all of that in, so when you put your foundation on, the foundation won't settle into those fine lines and pores. So this is a great, every skin tone, every person can use this. We also have the yellow and the pink. I'm going to use the green tonight, and the green actually tones down the red. So she's going to have no more redness in her face. So I'm going to apply just a little bit here onto my sponge, and I will show you just on one side what this kind of does. One side of her face, and then you can see the other side. Okay, so if you can look and show them the two different sides of her face, you can see how bright the redness is. That just tones it down, so now when we put the foundation on, it won't have as much part of the time covering up the redness for her. And a tiny little bit of this red, or this green primer goes a long way. If you put too much on, the green will come through the foundation, and you'll send your friends and your clients home with green in their skin. So just a little bit. Okay, so you guys can see how that evened out her skin tone nicely. All right, so we did the green on her face to cover up that redness. Now I'm going to put a little concealer. A couple of great places to put concealer is always around the inside of the eye. It doesn't matter if they need it or not. It's always good to put it there because it will help the eyes just pop. It'll help them look less tired, less sunk in, no matter what the client's eyes are like. It's a great idea to put it there. I'm using the Platinum Age Defying Concealer. Your other option is the Extra Help Concealer, which is also a great concealer for everyday use. I always like to put a little bit of concealer right around the nose. It helps pull out those little age marks that we get. When you lighten that skin there, it helps minimize that. So you can see what that did for her as we lighten that up a little bit. Also, same tip, you can use right around the mouth, and any of the darker areas on the skin will look minimized that way. Then if there's any blemishes, you can camouflage the blemishes a bit. And she's all prepped and ready for her foundation. So we're going to do wet dry foundation, and I just have foundation brush cleaned and ready to go. I'm going to just do this with the brush. If you tap your brush when you're putting on makeup, the product and the powder actually goes into the brush, so you get more coverage from one swipe into the container, so you get better use of your product. You can already see from one side to the other how it evens out the tone. That's just wet dry, so very quick, perfect for your 5-minute makeovers. And it shows that's why wet dry is such a good seller. It's the #1 seller, and it's perfect. And you can always blend into the neck. Our eyebrow kits are one of my best sellers. I love using these because you find a lot of people with either sparse eyebrows or that just little spot that is minimal in their eyebrows, and this just helps put that fuller frame around their eyes. Someone once said, if you don't have your eyebrows, it's like a picture being hung on the wall without a frame. So it frames your face, and I'll be turning me just a little bit. And you can just, she has very nice full eyebrows to begin with, but you'll even see just a little bit of a difference putting this on to what it does for the full effect of her brows and how much more intensely frames. And you can take the wax, which is kind of like just a finishing touch for that. It holds the unruly hairs, if you have any unruly hairs on your eyebrows. It holds those in place and also helps the color that you put in there stay longer. So you can kind of see the before and after. And now we'll do the other to match. We have these in blonde, brown, and in black. So depending on the hair color, you can choose the right color for the person. There's 2 shades within the brow kit that you can work with to blend for a really natural look for the tones in your hair. Okay, so there's the brows. Nice frame for the face. Okay, now we're going to do our bronzer. Bronzer I'm choosing tonight instead of a blush. With it being summer, you always want a nice sun-kissed look. And bronzer is great. Many people choose a bronzer instead of a blush. It's really client's preference. But you want to apply the bronzer as if the sun is falling on your face. So I always say to just kind of tip up and you can kind of see where the light would hit. So just a tiny little bit across the forehead where the sun would fall. A little down her nose, on the cheeks, and then just a touch on the chin. And that's where the sun would fall. You can put it all over the face, but that's going to really darken the complexion. So really you want to use it just as a bronzer to hit the high points where the sun would go. Now if I want to use it as a blush, then I can go back and put a little more, and I'm going to just do it like I would blush. Blush goes if you smile for us. The apple of her cheek, you work from the apple of the cheek up towards the hairline. So we go just like this, because you don't want the stripe that you've seen sometimes, or the circle of blush. You want a nice blended. You want it to look like we said something embarrassing to her, or like she got the prize. So there's a blushing. See, I got her to smile so I can see where her apple was. And so you can go as dark with that as you want. There you go. One other cool thing you can do with bronzer is to contour the face. If I wanted to contour a little on the cheeks, I could have done a lighter shade here and then underneath a slightly darker shade, which would add that dimension and contour to the face. Same thing here. So just to kind of illustrate that, I'll show you underneath the neckline. You can actually take years and pounds off when you shadow underneath and kind of make that darker, because then it's not, and then we'll just blend down slightly to have that darker effect there. And so now when you look directly on,